Somehow, Wingspan Asia beat this game out for 2-player game of the year. An expansion. Unacceptable.
The judges must have all been keto, because today we're talking about Beer and Bread.
Catch you in a second.
Beer and Bread is a 2-player Euro game designed by Scott Alms and published by Capstone Games.
In Beer and Bread, you're engaging in a 6-year-long carbohydrate warfare with your opponent to generate the most beer and bread in those 6 years. So basically, you're alternating between fruitful and dry years, gaining more resources in fruitful years and less resources in dry years. Strategically, you typically want to reserve more resources from the fruitful years to use them in the dry years when you have less resources. The other puzzle to this game is the cards.
Yeah, the cards have 3 different options of how you can utilize them. At the top, you can do a harvest, so you can harvest your wheat, your barley, your rye, your hops. They also have a recipe on it for whether it's a beer card or a bread card. And you use the resources that you've already allocated to your storage house to produce those and score points.
And then the last section being a passive bonus you would gain.
Also, whenever you use your cards to harvest, whatever you have already previously harvested in that turn, if there's any resources that you're going a second shot at, you also get whatever resources are before that. So if you've played water twice so far and you play water again, then you get a total of 3.
3 water, exactly. So you can kind of see how this puzzle's building, right? First off, we have the prosperous and the dry years. And then on top of that, we have the cards and playing them as either a harvest or as a order fulfillment or as a passive. And then we also have the cards you will tend to get between the fruitful and dry years. So in the fruitful years, you're drafting, so you're alternating hands back and forth. In the dry years, you're really just getting back the cards you played the last turn. So typically, you'll want to play cards the turn before in the fruitful years that you could then cash in on to fulfill orders in the dry years.
Yeah, it's a really cool game. You have so many different options. There's so many different things that you can do. One of the interesting things as well that always keeps every game different is the fact that you're scoring your lower score. So if you have a score of 20 for beer and you have a score of 15 for bread, you're actually scoring 15. Bread, right? So you have to play both. You can't just go fully into brewing beer. You can't go fully into baking bread. You really have to balance it out. And it keeps the game more competitive because if one person is kind of stomping in one area, then the other person has a much better chance to get back into the game and have a chance at winning.
Absolutely. Well, that's basically it for the overview. That's what the game plays like. We'll be back in a second, tell you about our thoughts. Okay, so Beer and Bread. I like this game. I think it's probably the best 2-player Euro game ever made. If you're a Euro fan, there's nothing else really like this. You know, you can play Euro games at 2 players, but this one's really designed for the interaction between 2 players, which is really unique.
The drafting back and forth and the fact that changes when you go into dry years is actually one of my favorite aspects of the game.
Absolutely.
I like how it incorporates so many different things. You're not drafting every single round. You're sometimes getting your cards back. You can go for beer, you can go hard into one thing, but you can't do that too much. Otherwise, you're actually going to lose because you're not actually scoring your highest score.
Absolutely. You're also kind of trying to mentally keep track of what your opponent has played and scored.
Definitely.
And during the drafting steps, you can take beer cards or bread cards that are super high points away and play them, even as something not exactly perfect, just to take their opportunity away from playing that really high power or high value card.
One thing we forgot to mention earlier is that during the dry years, you have 3 cards that are played out at the top of the board, and you can swap your cards out. Now, the one stipulation is if you swap one of the cards from your hand with one of those cards, you have to play it immediately. You can play it as a harvest action, you can play it as a recipe to make beer or bread, or you can play it as an upgrade, but you have to do it immediately.
Also, something we didn't mention, there's a really cool way they restrict resources, so you can't just hoard resources. Basically, throughout the game, you only have 9 resource slots on your town, and if that resource slot is full, you either have to, and you gain a resource, you either have to get rid of one of those resources and give it away to your opponent, which is an interesting sacrifice, or you just don't get that resource and your opponent can get it.
Also, this plays into your upgrades as well, because if you end, especially in a fruitful year where you're generally getting more resources, and then you have one of the upgrades that it's you get 1 wheat at the end of the seeding phase, then you could just be at the beginning of the turn giving your opponent a free resource. I've done this so many times when I've played.
Absolutely. It's happened to me too. Either way, though, I think Beer and Bread's great. Rating out of 10, I'd probably give this an 8.5, maybe a 9. It's just absolutely fantastic. What do you think?
I absolutely give it a 9. I've loved playing this every single time I have. My significant other loves this thing. She's totally obsessed with it right now. And we try and collect a lot of two-player games because the person I play with most, besides John, is my girlfriend. So, like, it's just a really, really, really good game that I've added to my collection, and I'm getting tons and tons of use of.
Absolutely. So, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Beer and bread.
Thanks, everybody.
Carbohydrate warfare.
Enjoy
Thanks
your
for
carbs.
watching. Enjoy your carbs. If you're keto, don't play this game. We don't even like you anymore.
It'd be bad for you. You wouldn't be able
Yeah.
to handle it.
You know, given your history. We'll catch you later. Thanks for watching Chits and
Thanks,
Cardboard.
guys.
If this video is helpful at all to you, we'd really appreciate if you'd like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time. See ya. Look, serious topic today. Everyone and their mother loves Wingspan. It is a family game, super approachable. It's great.
I've never played it.